So, real quick, I guess I'll take the reins from here. I'm going to do an AMA just to kind of answer any NFT questions that I can answer. I'm going to give hopefully like a 1 minute pitch for what I did and what I've accomplished so far and where we're going with it. So I'm the co-founder of Doggos. The website's doggos.dog. I linked it in the chat. Hopefully, you guys, if you see the stream, you could see the website here. You can see some of the doggos. I also linked a website where you could see all the doggos that we did, moonrank.app/collection/doggos. My partner in this was my real life partner. She's an Emmy-winning artist who works at Netflix currently. And yeah, so she's responsible for pretty much all the art assets. The idea with doggos is actually, doggos was our third idea, and it was kind of just to get our feet wet. We've actually got a much bigger NFT project we're working on. That's going to be a much larger collection, much more expensive to mint, but the rewards to all the holders are going to be very impressive and something I think people are going to want to buy. Currently, if you want to adopt a doggo, you hit the adopt button. It's going to take you to Magic Eden, which is our only marketplace. We minted for 0.6 Sol, so it's about $100 at the time. And now we're going, the cheapest doggo is 4 Sol. To give back to Build Space, one of the things that I did is I made Farza, or should I say my partner created for Farza his own little Build Space doggo right here. So, which I don't know why Moonrank's not available, but he got his own doggo. So with that being said, that's a little rundown about doggos. I'll open it up to anybody else who has questions with the NFT space, in particular when it comes to Solana. I'm pretty well informed.
I have a question for you. So,
I think general question for me is because I'm a tech person, how do we get in touch with the design or illustrator? Do you just go to Insta and find them if I'm not connected?
That's a great question. I wish I had more answers. I got lucky. I found essentially like my life partner on Tinder, a while back, and she just happens to be an amazing artist and illustrator. I wouldn't recommend that method for everybody. But
That's my new bio. Looking for artists for my NFT project.
Exactly. But what I can say is if you have the coding chops, there's a ton of artists who are amazing artists and put out their work in Twitter, Instagram. There's a variety of art platforms, and they don't know about the NFT space or they don't have the chops that you have to bring their ideas to fruition. There's another blockchain, Tezos, who has done a really good job marketing, and they actually reach out to Instagram artists or artists who are popular in other places online and walk them through how to make NFTs on Tezos. And because of that, Tezos has grown ginormously as far as art NFTs are concerned. So I also know another project right now where it's essentially somebody who's well connected in the NFT space who has money, who's been just cold messaging amazing artists. And now he's partnered with an artist and they've got something really cool coming along. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. And that's going to be a great skill for you to have when running an NFT project, no matter what.
Good one, thanks.
Aklita, you had a question. You want to go on again?
yeah, so I wanted to know if, so say you're releasing a NFT project anytime now, which is where the market is saturated in some sense. How would you go ahead and market a new project if you're starting out from scratch?
How would you go about? I'm sorry, I missed the middle part of that question. Can you repeat it? I apologize.
So essentially, it's the same question that you asked all of us in chat. How do we, as relatively new projects, go ahead and market ourselves and build a community?
Okay, perfect. So let me tell you what we did. So we got really involved in the NFT communities before we launched. So it was a multi-part strategy. Um, she won a bunch of art contests for other projects, and because she's so talented, she kind of became well known in the Solana ecosystem for some of the artwork that she did for other projects, just winning art contests and such. I became a moderator and somebody who was very active in a couple discords, NFT discords, as well as I became active in the build space discord, right, and like told everybody in build space about it. So my recommendation to everybody is spend the time getting to know your customers and building the community on the blockchain where you plan to launch, right? And that doesn't just go for NFT projects, that goes for every project. What I think is going to drive what's driving my current success and what's going to drive my future success is going to be building those connections and building that community. And I can't just do that speaking from my project's point of view. I have to kind of get involved and, for example, help out other projects. Right now, I'm helping like 7 different projects, or yesterday, there's a new project that launched that I helped them get, or hopefully will help them get to Magic Eden and get into contact with the marketplaces they need to get on. So just be involved.
Another
Thank you.
question
Thank
for you. Are you only like doing the projects on Solana or other networks as well?
So we decided to go with Solana for this initial collection. The collection's only 500, and that was also where a lot of our connections were. Plus, we have some other thoughts about why Solana might take up more market share in the future. However, our future collections and for the things we want to do in the future, we're not opposed to going to other chains, no matter where that is. We just want to do what makes sense. And at the time of launch, it made the most sense for us to launch on Solana.
Okay, I would like to ask a question. How were you able to handle the security aspect of your launch, especially when people are trying to uh, mint? How the security things behind whole safeguarding the wallet and every other thing in between?
So, as far as the wallet security is concerned, I mean, there's some pretty standard practices around like integrating and minting and creating minting sites. So that wasn't a huge security concern. There is a concern about botting. Botting is something that hopefully is going to be somewhat alleviated with the Candy Machine version 2, which we did not utilize, as well as some of the other. There's some other tactics and methods to try to avoid bots, but I'll say as a founder, it's not the best for your project to be botted, but if you sell out because people are botting your project, well, congratulations to you. As far as server traffic goes, we kind of were very sneaky stealth mint, and we were allowed to do that because we had only 500. We were able to sell out in 43 seconds, but we had only launched the Twitter about 4 days before the mint actually happened. And so my biggest concern, and it would still be a concern if I launched a new project, is we host it with Vercel and just making sure that there's enough bandwidth for all the traffic you're going to get. Though Vercel worked like a charm, it was perfect. Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for the question.
I have a question about it's probably very easy to answer. In terms of monetary cost, has it been relatively inexpensive to launch projects like these? Especially since your designer is your partner and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Doggos. So we, from start to finish, I think it took us about 3 weeks from the initial idea of, oh, we should do dogs in the doodle style. We really like the doodles, right? From that idea to mint day was only like 3 weeks. Obviously, my partner being the artist, we split everything. So as far as cost is concerned, I guess if you want to count me as the developer and she as the artist, right? We split everything 50-50. Other costs were pretty minor. To host on Airweave and Candy Machine, I think it took us less than 1 SOL. And then from the Candy Machine, you can actually get like most of that back. So overall project costs, I would say, are less than 2 SOL. And I know I guess that's like $300-ish or a little less than that now, but those were the costs.
I got a question again. You said you got involved in the other Discord channels. Like, what was your strategy then? Like, how you were, like, did you have any strategies in there? And other thing, so like when you, like you also said you helped other projects go live. So normally in what, like an average, how long does it take to build the community around the projects and etc.?
So to answer the first question, my strategy there was just to be like very active and very involved in new projects, right? So there's a lot of hype when a project first launches. One thing I was able to do, because I had a little bit of extra Solana from buying and selling NFTs and just had a little extra, is I was able to do, I guess, I was able to do some giveaways. For example, there's some really cheap projects that minted for less than 1 SOL, and I was able to grow like my Twitter followers being from the NFT world by giving away and doing some stuff like that. So that's kind of some growth hacky stuff that you could do to kind of grow your Twitter audience. And then that's your personal Twitter audience, but you could obviously eventually use that and leverage that to sell your NFT project. I also got involved early on, and just you'll see a lot of these Discords, they don't have a solid mod team at the very beginning. And so anybody who's eager and enthusiastic and wants to stick around is generally welcomed to stick around and help. Even if it's not the most glamorous project, even if the project goes nowhere, the fact that you stuck around and helped will be noticed. I'm hearing some sort of muffled something. I don't know if that's a question. I don't think so. Can you repeat your second question too? Sorry, I should have wrote it down.
No worries. The second question was, so you also said you helped the other projects to go live. So in terms of building the community around the project, like how long does it take to, like, what has to be buffer, let's say? So
I would say, as a standard, you should think about a month, right? Or let's say 5 to 3 weeks. However, it's super variable. As I said, I only launched my Twitter 4 days and Discord like 3 days before the mint. But we have a small project, and I was somewhat well connected in the community. If you're going to have a significantly larger project, I would launch the Discord and Twitter and not give a project launch date until you have a significant kind of like number of followers, till you have a significant number of people in the Discord to kind of, have that snowball already a pretty good size. But yeah, I would say, depending on how good you are at getting an audience and finding an audience and the quality of your art and the quality of your roadmap, it could take some time. It's not uncommon for projects to take 2 months before they launch, after launching their Discord, before they mint.
Hey, I got a question. Are you still have plans to build your own Solana NFT marketplace?
Yeah. So Right now, I work with a small team of people. I am so swamped, but there's a lot of people who reached out to help, and I feel terrible because that project is not getting my like full attention. But essentially the idea is Holoplex on Solana, which is the premier marketplace for selling one-of-one art, is not very good. Um, One of the problems I see with it is they charge zero commissions, and because of that, they're not able to hire the developer support. So I would love to have a true Web3 marketplace that is built by coders like the ones we have in BuildSpace and promoted by artists, and that the um, whatever commission price, whether it's 2% or 2.5%, which are kind of the standards, that would somehow funnel its way back to the open source developers or for the developers who work on the project. I do really want to get that done. However, man, I'm slammed. Actually, and this is just to promote that, if anybody's interested in helping with that open source project, we're looking for more devs and more smart people with backgrounds of all types to kind of put together a marketplace, right? Who knows where it goes, but we have a domain, we have an initial design, we have an initial code base that we're working from. And so there's a lot that needs to be done, but there's a lot that's already started.
Sweet. Congrats.
Thank you for reach out. You could reach out to me, and I will connect you and put you in that Discord to start building that. And again, just to plug this again, because I know people weren't around at the beginning, I have multiple people reaching out to me asking for developer help, or if I could connect them to developers who want to, be a partner in a NFT project. And so I need more developers. So I know some of you guys said like, hey, I'm a developer looking for an artist. Well, I can tell you I've definitely got some artists in my DMs who are looking for developers. So please reach out if you're interested at all.
Thank you.
Hey,
Congrats again.
can I piggyback off of that? How many of you like you're an artist or designer, but you feel like your coding chops are not as good? And like, how would you like to see hackers and designers connect? Like, just anybody have an idea in the chat. If you feel like you're restrained either by your artistic skills or you're restrained by your hacking skills.
I'm definitely restricted by my artistic skills. I know how to code, but I have no idea how to do art.
It's a great idea to connect both of these people together. The ones who can create the art and ones who can sell it out as NFTs on the blockchain.
Yeah, that would.
So
be
would
awesome.
it be like helpful if there's like something on Discord here in which like we get together and just try to hype it up, try to get designers in, try to get coders in, just kind of have like a meet and greet to show like, here are my art skills, here are my coding skills, like just have people connect. Would that be helpful?
As a concept, we can maybe experiment with that and see where it goes from there. The end goal would be a marketplace sort of thing, LinkedIn basically for artists and developers.
Nice.
The Tinder of Web3.
Do you find that to be a limiting factor, Weedle Champ? Like when people approach you?
Which part specifically?
Like, do you have people approaching you like they want to launch an NFT collection, but they're like the art is just not there, and vice versa?
Oh yes, I have lots of people. That's what I was saying. Before we started, is I have a lot of my time now is spent connecting people, and I love to do it because I really think like, you build up the community, build up that karma, and I really want to see everybody succeed. But I have artists coming to me. I have people with just money and idea and a vision, or who are familiar with the space coming to me. I have developers coming to me, and so just this is recruitment. Anybody who's interested in working with other talented folks on launching NFT projects, please reach out to me. But I would love for somehow Build Space to get in contact with designers who are interested in Web3 or artists who are interested in Web3.
Gotcha. Nice. Okay. I'm just
And
taking
real
some
quick,
notes on that.
I would say to everybody here, I don't have the time. Like, I would need to live like another decade, or like, to have the sort of art chops that some of these, artists who've been doing it their whole life have, right? But what you guys can do, the skill I was able to adopt, is understanding the NFT space and getting involved in the community. I would say there's like three pillars of the NFT project, and that's design, like in art. Then there's the coding aspect, and the other aspect is community and marketing. And you all could learn the community and marketing aspect of this. And if you had both the coding chops and the community marketing chops, like, that's a superpower, and there's a lot of money in this space to be had, and there's a lot of opportunity in this space. And if you were able to check off both of those items, like, it's a real superpower.
That's powerful. Thanks for sharing that. My coding chops are still getting up there. I'm more of a back end guy, still working on my creative front end style stuff. So that was motivating to hear. And just to go with what Ando Wood said, I think the biggest thing on both sides would just be like, have a portfolio ready. If you're an artist, have like a few JPEGs or PNGs that you can share, like a little quick Wix website or something like that. If you're a creator or if you're a developer, like, have a portfolio website. I think it just gets the guessing game out the way. So thanks for that.
Yeah. Anybody else with any other questions? Or if we want to turn it back over to chat about the other projects, I'm cool with that too.
I have a final question because I'm about to head out. Guido Champ, if I start from absolute zero, I get the question a lot. You're starting from absolute zero. What do you do to like build a community? If you're just like, I'm just a guy and I got nobody. I have like 0 people in my Discord. Like, where do I start? Yeah, I guess what do you do?
I would say, well, I took the build space courses, right? And I learned how to actually code this stuff, right? So we only have 6 build space courses. Each one of them can be done in approximately a day. So that's 6 days, 7 days worth of work, right? So just learn how to build it. Second thing, I would create a content funnel for yourself, right? I'd create a Twitter account and a Discord account so that you can monitor successful projects' Discords and see what they're doing, and so that you can see what the conversation is happening in the NFT space. Then I would be really active. Most of these projects, even the really expensive ones, they have general chat channels where you don't need to own the NFT to participate in the conversation, right? So get in there and join the conversation and just see what's going on. And then no matter what skills you have, I mean, it could be as simple as something where you create like a little fan page for an NFT project, right? You could utilize your skills as a developer in 1,000 different ways to help projects. And through helping projects and through like joining the conversation, you could build an audience, you could become part of a community. And when you have that, then you could start to think about launching your project. And that process could take you, let's say 8 to 10 weeks. But then in 8 to 10 weeks, you could do exactly what I did and launch a project and, sell out.
Gotcha. Cool, man. That's pretty much exactly how I would answer as well. So good to hear from someone else, though. Well, I guess I gotta go. Thanks, Guido Champ, for doing this, and yeah, I guess people are still sticking around, right? So, but yeah, thanks everyone. I'm outies though, and thank you, Endo. By the way, we're literally putting it all together. By the way,
Yeah. Yep. One day, just want to get launched.
Hey, Farza, real quick before you go, let's talk about the Build Space PFP project sometime this weekend, maybe.
Oh, Build Space PFP project. It's time. Yeah, sounds good. I'll hit you up about it. Probably end of the day.
All right. Talk soon.
All right.
I'm gonna bounce too, guys. See ya. Great session, and catch you all on the Discord.
All right. See ya. I'm still around if anybody has questions, or if we want to go back to if any of the other demoers want to talk about their project or ask if anybody has questions about their projects.
Hey, maybe you don't know because it's your partner doing it, but do you know what software she uses to make the art?
Yeah, she made everything in Illustrator. So originally she made it using Illustrator artboards, and she actually did 203 of them by hand. But then she exported all of her layers to Photoshop. And from there, we were able to get folders with each. So, like in an NFT metadata, you might have like head, eyes, hat, accessory, whatever, right? So those metadata categories become their own folders, and then each art asset is like, let's say, a 500 by 500 PNG of, puppy dog eyes or normal eyes or angry eyes or whatever it is. And then you take those assets and then you put them through something like the Hashlips art engine or the I always blank on the name, but there's several different things that you could put the assets into that will randomly like collate them or collate them based on the rarity that you pre-assign, and it'll also spit out the JSON files that you need when you set up the NFT project.
Sweet. Okay, cool. Thank you.
I have a question. So I basically hang out with a bunch of crypto haters, Web3 doubters, and NFT shares. What's like your typical answer you give to somebody when they're like, "Why would I ever want to buy this NFT?"
That's a great question. So, everything has, it depends where I want to start the conversation, right? Because I could actually talk about NFTs for hours and hours and hours, right? And about like why they're important and this, that, the other thing. But suffice to say, we're spending more and more of our time online, right? The Gen Z, that's where they hang out, right? Instead of hanging out IRL, especially regarding COVID, right, when people couldn't hang out in person, we spend more and more of our time online. I've played an MMORPG before, where I grinded levels and I got the super rare items. And when I was a kid, this happened to be like my account got hacked, right? And I lost all the stuff. I put thousands of hours, and those things created value to me. And part of the value they created was just the value in that virtual world, right? So to me, NFTs are just a natural evolution of that, right? And if you think of digital art as well, right? That was a big, I guess, driver of NFT momentum. Essentially, the digital art side is just saying like digital art is real art, just like physical art is, right? And in fact, it could do all sorts of things that a painting can't do, right? So it's just the art world recognizing that digital art can play on that same level or as equally as important to the history of art. So those are kind of like two quick things, but I could literally talk to you so much about that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's one of those things like it's still at the stage where it's hard to convince people. One of the things that I find really interesting is that like this is just it is iteration 0.5 of NFTs. So that's usually like my explanation. Like we're seeing one version of it, and the future NFT might be completely different from just JPEGs.
So as we all know, like an NFT is just a bucket to hold data. Essentially, it's just like a wrapper that shows digital ownership. And if you think about it already in the World Wide Web, domain names are pretty much like the only thing that you could own right now. Like, for example, I own Jake at jakerandall.me, which is my name, right? In the future, being able to trade these and have a marketplace, and it's going to be, have all the benefits of decentralization, all these things. Like digital ownership is just going to become more and more important as digital assets become more important to our lives. Anyways, that's probably enough on that topic.
I was gonna chime in here real quick for a second. it's an interesting point that you brought up with saying, your account got hacked and then you lost your, items there. That's actually one of the reasons why I like the approach we're taking with 100% on-chain game is that some of the things that, other people can do, and I'm not trying to diss any other project, but there's a security layer to it since everything's done on chain, right? You don't really have to worry about server type things where servers get hacked or something happens in that manner, right? Imagine your NFT image changes because someone's server got hacked and now you have a image of a rug or something instead of your NFT. This is one of the cool aspects, I think, of doing things 100% on chain. Your point just brought that up in my mind.
Cool. Anybody got anything to add there? Any other questions?
I had a question. Go ahead.
It's okay. Go.
Okay, so I had a quick question. How did you decide the floor price and the number of mints that you were going to allow? How did you come up with that number?
So it's very funny. So in our case, I actually originally was like, can you do 10 dogs? I kind of just wanted to see them. And then my partner just started doing them, and then she did like 20. And they're like, okay, well, how about 50? And then we thought about it some more and we're like, well, the difference between how difficult it is to do 50 and the difficulty to do 500 actually isn't that much different when it comes to generative art. So we did 500, and it was important to us because Doggos is just a launching point for our much bigger, more ambitious NFT project. It was important to us to keep the community small and to keep it really intimate, right? And people who are aligned with the vision. I think there was a standard of doing 10K projects, a few months back. That is now really hard to do unless you're putting out a really premium product. So I would say there's no shame in starting small. As far as the floor price, we were struggling somewhere between half a soul and 1 soul. We needed to essentially raise enough money with selling the doggos that we were able to kickstart this bigger project. And I was able to hire another full-time dev. We're hiring a community manager this week. So we're hiring more people onto the team. So we needed enough money to kickstart that. And to be honest, I don't know if we sold for the right price. We sold out in 43 seconds, which kind of makes me think that we could have charged more and made more money. So it was kind of a gut feeling and talking to some people that we landed on 0.6. But I could say selling out in 43 seconds, yeah, that's great, but maybe we left a lot of money on the table, right? And it's not that I wanted to take all the opportunity away for other people to for the floor price to go up, etc. It's just that I wanted to give myself enough cushion to be able to hire people to do all sorts of things for not only Doggos, but our future project.
Got it. Okay, because I was specifically asking for the project that I'm working on. We ended up deciding 10,000 mints and 2 Matic, which is $10. But I think we have to reevaluate that, and I just wanted some input on that.
Your thing is really cool. I would almost really love to see your project as the back end of a tutorial about NFTs, because I could just see if it was a site that was here's a little bit of NFTs. They're really easy. They're the future. This, that, the other thing. And now make your own, right? And it's super easy. I think that could be something really cool, but I'm just shooting the breeze.
Yeah,
maybe you could draw a doggo on that site.
Thank you for your input.
Right? Somebody else had a question?
Yeah, I actually I was looking and I saw you were at the roadmap, and that the plan was to basically make it like a DAO that's going to be controlling what happens next. I'm just really interested in maybe talking a little bit about that. But another question was, have you ever thought about merch for your project? Is that something that you'd want to do with it, or something that you're not really considering?
So I'll take the last question first. Yes, we're considering merch. It is not that far from the top of our list of things to do. People have asked for merch, which is why we're considering it. So back to the people asking for it. Creating a DAO is really important to us because we want to give the community what they want, right? So you think about like startups, right? Like you want to pivot to what your customers need and what they want. So we're very much interested in like getting feedback and just executing.
Yep.
The DAO is, we're redoing the whole site. We have a V2 of the site that's coming that I'm working on. And that will have a voting mechanism in there where if you have doggos, you'll be able to vote. And there's some sort of limit to where, like, if you just have unlimited money, it's not like you have unlimited power, right? But it's going to be more than if you own a doggo, you get one vote, right? I don't know if that makes sense. So, like, let's say you have 3 doggos. Yeah, you may get like 3 votes, but if you have 10, you may only get 6. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it could be like it could scale like non-linearly, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's just a mechanism for us to get feedback. And for one thing we want to do, which I guess is a build space exclusive because I haven't announced on the Discord yet, is that we want to do a doggo of the month for outstanding community member, right? Or maybe even doggo of the week, where we now actually have our own treat token. And I'll drop that image in the chat. But we have a token now that is actually in Phantom. So it is a totally live token that we reward our members with for staking their doggos, or staking should be finished in this week. We already were able to airdrop some of this token. We want to incentivize the community to vote on, like, you know, who made the best meme or things like that. So that's kind of how we're using our DAO, or planning to be using our DAO.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Well, if
Hey,
nobody's up,
I'm gonna hop off. I actually postponed some travel plans for this, but thank you so much, Weedle Champ, for like taking this on such short notice, and thank you all for being here today for making this happen. But yeah, and all of you that demoed, good job. Thank you again. And yeah, I know this was short notice, but I will catch you guys later.
Everybody, I would love to connect with you guys on Twitter. I have a build space list, Twitter list, that I'm adding build spacers to. So I can definitely add you guys to that list. You feel free to DM me on Discord or Twitter any questions you may have, and I'll be sure to answer them. As well as if you want any feedback on your project, I'm happy to give that. As well as if you're a developer looking for other projects to work with, I have, some people I can connect you to on that angle. But otherwise, I'm gonna declare the AMA over.
Awesome.
Thanks, man. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All right, see you later, everyone. That was epic.